I'ma tell them like this, I'ma tell them like that. When they asking who's it, I'ma tell them it's black. Yeah, me, I don't ever hold back. When it comes to these chicks, home runs, no bats. Ha, put your hands up, no oath. Black, glasses in the air, we toast. Running this
Welcome to the
team.
show. I am Matthew Fresquez. Let's get it started. Let's get it going. As always, like the Matthew Fresquez Show on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at Matthew Fresquez. Email the show, MatthewFresquezShow@gmail.com. Get in, be heard. All right, before we get started with the topics for today, really quickly, I'm going to go in more detail with this next show. I got a lot of stuff I want to go into today. Don't want to take too much time, but I have a new mission. I'm going to talk about this every show, bring it up, mention it until we complete this mission. I want Oklahoma City Thunder Kevin Durant to follow me on Twitter. I'm following him, just started following him today. I already have Dallas Cowboy Mark Colombo. I'm going to keep pushing that because that blows my mind that he's following me on Twitter. I want Kevin Durant. I want more pro athletes. I'm shooting straight for the top. Kevin Durant, follow me on Twitter. Not like you're listening, but that's my mission. We'll go into more detail next show. Okay, first topic of the day. Brett Favre did not start tonight for the Minnesota Vikings against the Giants. Game held in Detroit. I really thought that that what happened at the Metrodome, going to give him enough time to re-heal that arm, get it going, get it loosened up. It didn't. The streak ends at 297 consecutive starts, spanning over 19 seasons. It's one of the most amazing records I see in any kind of sport. The fact that he can go in, day out through injuries, emotional stuff. You think about all the stuff that he's been through, broken bones after his father passed. Did not matter, day in, day out. You knew that number 4 was going to be on the field. So I just have to say I'm a little bummed he couldn't go tonight, but you got to give it to him. 297 consecutive starts. That's amazing. Next topic I want to talk about, you knew it was going to come up, the New York Jets. At this point, they're falling apart. I'm going to get to the strength coach tripping the Miami player, but first of all, let's just talk about the Jets. I have said since the beginning of the season, their weakest point was Mark Sanchez. If you look at their team, great defensive line, great linebackers, excellent secondary, great running backs, great receivers, great offensive. Their only weak point, besides the whole team just crumbling and falling down around them right now, was Mark Sanchez. And everybody was high on him at the beginning of the season, playing great, looking great. Mark Sanchez, the real Mark Sanchez, shows up. Weakest point of that team is Mark Sanchez. You don't have Mark Sanchez on that team, you might be you're in a different situation right now. The offense is doing nothing, absolutely nothing, cannot get the ball in the end zone to save their lives right now. And New England wasn't just a loss. They came out after getting shellacked by New England on Monday night, came out, said it's just one game, it's just one loss. Doesn't look like that now. I mean, you lose to Miami at home, a 500 Miami team, it's all coming apart. And you know, the most interesting thing for any of you guys who have played sports, whether it be Little League, high school, college, if you've played higher, whatever, you know that the teams that talk crap to you, if you get them rattled, if things aren't going their way, they start losing, whatever, who do they automatically turn on? They stop talking crap to you and they start talking to each other. And that's what's happening now. People are pointing fingers, they're going out to the media, opening up, coaches, everybody, they're turning on each other. And it's an epic meltdown because this was the team with the swagger. This was the team with the attitude. This was the team who was going to win the Super Bowl. And right now, usually the swagger, the attitude, the trash talking, it works when you're winning, but when you're not, it's an epic meltdown. And then you go Sunday, strength coach for the New York Jets, Sal Alosi. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Facebook. Standing on the sidelines, special teams play going on. Miami Dolphins, Nolan Carroll sprinting, hauling ass on the field, gets bumped out of bounds, hanging out on the sideline a little bit running, and Sal just decides to stick out his knee, trip the guy, takes him out. Listen, this could have... Thank God that Nolan Carroll did not get seriously injured here, because this could have been terrible. And it just came out. Sal is suspended for the remainder of the season, including playoffs. Once their season's over, he can return to the facilities. He's not to go around anything New York Jets, around the organization, anything. And he's also fined an additional $25,000, and he's suspended without pay. I mean, this had to happen. Are you kidding me? It was a dumb jerk move. Did you not think that you were going to get seen doing this? Cameras are all over. They are on every single player. When anything happens, the cameras catch it. The only thing they seem not to catch is other players spitting in each other's faces. They caught this, and you had to know they were going to catch this. It's a dumb move, and it kind of, honestly, it doesn't surprise me. If you were going to pick one team from the National Football League, if someone just said, did you see that coach trip that player on the field, who would you automatically suspect, and who would you think it was? And it's the Jets. They've built this kind of reputation, and that's what you think it is. Now, I'm not trying to say the Jets are dirty, but that's the first team that would pop into my mind if you said this would happen. It was a dirty play. It was ridiculous. I do have to say this, in the press conference afterwards, he seemed very sincere, apologizing, almost in tears, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. The fact that it did just blows my mind. You had to know that you were going to get caught. I don't know what was going through his mind. You're not a player. You're a coach. You've been a coach now for a long time. Stand on the sidelines. The fact that this even happened blows my mind. Next thing out today, the Big Ten comes out with their name for their two conferences. Wait for it. Legends and Leaders. Not East and West, not North and South. The Legends and the Leaders. You've got to be kidding me. The fact that they came out with this name and they thought it would be good, it is the worst name that you could have picked for these two conferences. The Big Ten with 12 teams is broken into two conferences, the Legends and the Leaders. The Big Ten is obviously trying to be the cool gang, the cool conference in all of the nation. Here comes the cool hip playa conference, the Big Ten. The Big Ten is the kid that you knew growing up who thought he was cool, who thought he had all the right gear, thought he had the right shoes, thought he had the right clothes, and just didn't quite get it when he wasn't invited to the parties or when you didn't call him or text him on a Friday or Saturday night. All right, now let's go to the emails. Fresh. After watching the Monday night game, I'm curious to what your favorite thing about the New England Patriots is. Is it the 8 rookies who play huge roles? Is it their flawless veteran leader Tom Brady throwing 7 touchdowns without an interception and holding the best passer rating in the NFL? Or is it simply their ability to win huge games even while placing nearly dead last in many statistical areas? Along with that question, how big of a factor do stats play when it comes to chalking up a W? Phillip Rivers and the Chargers led in multiple areas, yet still found ways to lose several games in the beginning of the year. Is coaching the only reason for this, or is there some other X factor at work? P.S. Can I get a shout out for Logan Mankins? He started playing when Moss left, and he's the reason for the success, yet everyone is looking at the lack of Moss. I think he is a true game changer. Robbie France, Gothenburg, Nebraska. I see what you're trying to do, Robbie. Trying to catch me off guard. Trying to get me to trip up. Not going to happen. Nice try, though. It's going to take a lot more for me not to talk about something. And for those of you who don't know, we've had this discussion before. When I do this show, I'm fair and balanced, so you can shoot whatever you want at me. I'm going to talk as a fan of the sport, as a fan of sports in general, not of teams, not of players, but nice try, Robbie. Your favorite thing about the Patriots has to be Tom Brady. He has an amazing season. He's leading the MVP race right now, just over Vic. If I had to vote today, Brady gets the nod, but Vic can take over with a couple more huge games, depending on how Brady does. But that's got to be it, and it's Brady, the system, and the line, and you nailed it with Logan Mankins. Hasn't played the whole entire season. Came back, took off after that. The line is amazing. Logan Mankins is amazing. Moss did hurt you a little bit. Granted, you're 11-2. You're leading your division. You've already won your division, but still, Moss took away that real deep threat. But you're right, Logan Mankins. He's a beast, and he's made a huge difference. And it has to be Brady in the system. It's the fact that You can plug in anybody that you want. If you have the quarterback, then you can plug in anybody in this system, and it seems to work. His surrounding cast has changed over and over and over again, and he continues to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, year in, year out, Hall of Famer, no questions about it. And stats obviously aren't that important because the Patriots are 11-2 and they have some pretty bad stats out there. And like you said, the Chargers are struggling and they have some pretty good stats. The most important thing is to be well-rounded. What was the Chargers' biggest problem at the beginning of the year? Special teams could not get it done. They were having turnovers, blocked punts, missed field goals. Everything that could go wrong, special teams-wise, was going wrong. But if it's the well-rounded team, you don't have to have amazing stats that is going to take you to the Super Bowl, that's going to do good, win in the playoffs. With that said, however, stats will come up and they'll bite you in the ass if you don't watch out. Because right now, the Patriots have an amazing offense. They're clicking on all cylinders. The last 2 weeks, their defense has been pretty good, but they still have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And when it comes down to playoff time, I don't worry that the Patriots are going to put points up on the board. I worry about how many points are going to go up on the board and if they can outscore them. All right, last topic for the show, last email for the show. Remember, get your emails in and we'll talk about what you want to talk about. Matthew, the only subject I would like to comment on tonight is Josh McDaniels being fired. Pat Bowlen gave McDaniels the kiss of death with the reassurance of McDaniels' well-being in the Bronco Nation. I honestly think that Bowlen has some information with regards to the Spygate 2 situation. Bowlen is going to find a loophole in McDaniels' contract and show that McDaniels violated the contract through the Spygate 2 situation. I could be way off, but that might be the loophole to get out of paying for 3 different coaches. What do you think? Am I even close? Brad Inholson, Aurora, Colorado. That is a great point that you bring up, and it's crazy that you bring that up because right when this happened, that was the first thing that went in my head. So no, you're not way off. I think you're square on, and you know what you're talking about because I think Bowlen, you don't want to be paying 3 head coaches right now. You're paying Shanahan, you're paying McDaniels, and you're paying your interim coach, and then you're going to be paying whoever you hire next year if the NFL doesn't go into a lockout. That's another situation. So I don't think you're way off because Bowlen is going to look at this Spygate situation and find out if there's a code of conduct in his contract that they can exploit so they can get out of paying him the money that they owe him. I think it's wrong. I think it's terrible because this is not the reason why he got fired. Josh McDaniels got fired because the Broncos fans, they were calling for his head and they were calling for his job the whole entire time. Josh McDaniels did not watch the film, and if you think that he did and you think, well, you're crazy if you think that he didn't watch the film he's given to him, did you see how bad they looked against San Francisco? You're telling me that he watched the film and that Broncos team shows up against San Francisco? That was a terrible game. If you have film, that game looks a lot different than what it did. And if he didn't watch it, the only thing that he did that was wrong was he didn't turn into the NFL and he didn't go through them. The guy who recorded it was fired. Josh McDaniels was fined. If Bowlen goes through this loophole and tries to get rid of the contract of all the money that he owes him, I think it is ridiculous. And Bowlen owes him this money. If you're going to give in to the fans like this, fire what I think is a very good coach. And you've heard me say this, the only problem that McDaniels had was he had too much power way too early. You make him just a head coach, he's going to be a great head coach. You live out this contract. Firing him was a dumb move. Giving him all the power is a dumb move. It's a great coach, and if you try to screw him out of the money that you owe him, it's the wrong move, and he should be ashamed if he does it. All right, thank you very much for tuning in to the show today. Remember, follow me on Twitter at Matthew Fresquez, like the show on Facebook, and get your emails in, MatthewFresquezShow@gmail.com. There's a few things we didn't get to talk about today. Clinton Smith wanted to talk about Josiah Vieira. Check that link out on my Facebook page. I want you guys all to see the video before I talk about it. Going to do that next show. Also, Robbie France had another part to the email where he wants to try to help his friend pick a favorite team. How do we go through that? We had a lot going on today. We'll touch on that next time. My new mission, Kevin Durant. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Nah, I ain't even started yet. I keep shooting for them just to see how far the star will get. Made this for the college kids, raging at the party kids. Wake up in the morning late for class, that's how college is. Black and purple.